My family named me after the most hated man in town. My real name wasn't Owen, it was Silas. Silas Redfern. And in the town I grew up in, that name was a curse. My parents didn't pick it because they loved it. They picked it because my great-uncle's trust said the firstborn who carried his full legal name would get half his estate at 18. What they didn't tell me for years was who Silas Redfern actually was. He was the man who ran off with the entire town's pension fund back in the 80s. Hundreds of families lost everything. People sold their houses. 2 of them lost their farms. And my parents wanted the money so badly they branded me with the name of the man everyone in that town still hated. When I was little, I didn't understand. Mom kept saying it was a special name, a family name, that it meant we'd be taken care of someday. She'd say it at church, at the diner, at the hardware store, and I never understood why people's faces changed when they heard it. Kindergarten was when it started. The teacher read roll on the first day and got to my name and stopped. She just looked at me for a second too long and said, "Silas Redfern," real quiet, like she was tasting something bad. That night I heard her name on the phone with somebody. The next morning, 3 of the other kids wouldn't sit next to me and I didn't know why yet. By 2nd grade, I knew. Kids repeated what they heard at home. Griffin cornered me at recess and said, "My grandpa can't retire because of your name." He was 7 and crying when he said it. I didn't even know what a pension was. From then on, I was Silas the thief, Silas the snake, the Redfern kid. I begged my parents to let me use my middle name, Owen. It was right there. Normal. Clean. But Mom would get this hard look and say, "Don't you dare. That name is your college fund. That name is this family's future." Dad would just leave the room. By 4th grade, I stopped answering when the teacher called on me. If she said Redfern, the whole class would go quiet in this ugly way. I started eating lunch in the library, because in the cafeteria, kids would slide their trays away from mine and whisper. Middle school was worse. The town has a long memory, and the school database had my full legal name in it. Every assembly, every honor roll list read over the intercom. Every substitute. There it was. Silas Redfern. Teachers who'd lost money in the fund looked at me like I'd done it myself. One of them gave me a 0 on a project, and when I asked why, he said, "Ask your family where honest work gets you." I tried going by Owen in 7th grade. For a few months it worked. New kids called me Owen. I felt almost invisible in a good way. Then a substitute read off the roster and said, "Silas Redfern. Any relation to the Silas Redfern?" and laughed. And the whole room turned, and it was over. I walked out. Got 2 days suspension. My parents were furious, but not because I was hurting. Mom screamed that I was ungrateful, and Dad said, "3 more years and you'll thank us when that check clears." High school broke me down slow. I stopped showing up when I could get away with it. When I did show, I sat in the back and said nothing and wore the same gray jacket every day. I stopped eating right. I stopped sleeping. I stopped taking care of myself at all, because taking care of yourself feels pointless when you hate the name attached to you. Senior year, I applied for a full scholarship through a regional foundation. I'd wanted it since freshman year. Months of essays and recommendations. I made it to the final interview. I sat across from a panel, and one of the older women read my name off the folder, and her whole face closed like a door. She was on the board that oversaw the pension recovery. I didn't get the scholarship. They gave it to someone else, and I knew exactly why. I spent my 18th birthday in my room. Mom kept talking about the money, about the party she'd planned. Then the phone rang. The trustee wanted to meet me. Her name was Ms. Calloway, and she'd handled my great-uncle's estate for 20 years. She sat me down and said, "Your great-uncle set this trust up himself when he was dying. He didn't want a namesake to carry his shame. He wanted one freed from it, but he wrote a condition. Before the money is released, you have to prove in court that the name caused you real harm." Mom lost it when she heard. Called me selfish, dramatic. Dad said nothing. I got a lawyer. It took 2 years. I brought in my old teachers who testified I'd stopped speaking in class. My counselor read out the years of reports. I had to show my medical records, my therapy files. I had to stand in a courtroom and admit out loud that I'd stopped caring whether I existed because I hated the name I was forced to wear. The judge ruled in my favor. I got the money. That same week, I drove to the courthouse and legally changed my name to Owen. I watched the clerk stamp the papers and I cried right there at the counter.